Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm talking about the right to be forgotten. Now, if you're not familiar with this concept, it's something that Europe has been pioneering with their new GDPR data privacy laws, and this basically means that if a provider, like let's say a Google, a Facebook, even a small little forum that you belong to, actually has information on you, you have the right to go to them and say, erase everything about me. I want to know what you have on me, and please erase it from your systems and be done with it. And that is something that privacy advocates everywhere, myself included, applaud. I think that's a very big deal. I think it's something that should be applied worldwide. Well, we now have a test case for this coming out of Europe where the GDPR is enforcing this across the European Union. And it involves Google. Google is one of the, if not the biggest search engine, and data collector on the planet. And they just won a court case. Now, they do not have to apply, and I've got notes here from Reuters, and I think this is absolutely interesting. Google will not have to apply the right to be forgotten law globally. Europe's top court literally just ruled on this yesterday, and basically it pitted them against personal privacy rights in around the world. Basically, Europe wanted to apply this everywhere, and Google's like, no, like you can't do that. You can only apply it in Europe. And so in this judgment, the Court of Justice of the European Union said the right to have personal data protected was not an absolute right. And I will quote the court here. The balance between the right to privacy and the protection of personal data on one hand and the freedom of information of internet users on the other is likely to vary significantly around the world. This is true. Now, obviously, Google was happy with this decision, and they said, and I quote, "It's good to see that the court agreed with our arguments." Simple enough. Now, in a blog post 2 years ago, Google said that there should be a balance between sensitive personal data and the public interest, and no country should be able to impose rules on the citizens of another. I actually agree with this. Now, this is being viewed as a landmark case, and basically the problem that we have here is that the internet has no borders, which is why the Europeans' GDPR has been so interesting, because even if your data is sitting, let's say, in servers in China or Australia or the United States or wherever they are, they have to adhere to the GDPR to say, hey, we have information on a European citizen, we have to be forgotten. Google, if you recall, is in the United States. They're not in Europe. And so this is actually very interesting because I think in some ways Google is correct. Every country has their own laws, and the only way that a country or a population is going to, let's say, be free or have the right to be forgotten in this sense is through legislation. Europe does not have the ability to dictate around the world, but I also think Europe is right in spinning up these kinds of laws that give us ultimately much better control over our privacy, who has what, where our data goes, all that kind of stuff. I think that's something that not just the United States and Europe, the United States doesn't have it, we need it, Europe has it, I think the entire world needs this. Now, obviously, if we are going country by country, that becomes an entire hodgepodge, and it becomes very difficult for Google to start applying laws at will like this. This is one of the fights that we have in the United States. We have 50 states in the union, and when we have a state like California trying to spin up their own GDPR, that's very difficult for the tech companies because then they're looking at 49 other potential unique data privacy laws from state to state. And then how do you apply that? As I sit here in Illinois, what law applies to me as opposed to the person next door in Indiana or to the north of me in Wisconsin or on the West Coast like California? It's something that we really need to figure out, but I think it's an important thing. And as we are looking at this, we need to make sure that we need to make sure that we are creating these laws that protect the citizens over the corporations in this sense. I really admire, a lot of what Google did when they founded. I mean, they became the world's largest search engine, a couple of guys in college, but as we go on and as we learn, their motto of do no harm or do no evil just kind of went away. And that's a little concerning for everybody. Same with Facebook and all of these. We had no idea back in the day just how explosive and how deeply we'd be data mined for profit. It wasn't a problem in that prior era with the Microsofts and the Apples of the world. That wasn't their business model. So as we continue to wake up and evolve the internet, and we're also going to have to wake up and evolve our privacy. So take that for what it's worth, but that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.